Hello, I'm Danny.
And I'm Jake.
And this is Marvel Talk. Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of Marvel Talk. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's going to be mainly a DC episode because we got to talk about some Peacemaker and, of course, the Batman.
Dun, 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 burr, 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 burr. I love the theme song, man.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Yes.
But before we get into DC, we might as well talk about some stuff real quick just to get it out of the way. We did get some trailers for The Boys Season 3.
Yeah, looking real solid, I think. I don't know what's up with Booker getting laser eyes. That'll be kind of fun. You see Soldier Boy?
Yeah.
You get to see Jensen Ackles. I'm like, heck yeah, man. I'm pretty stoked. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's just as intense and gory as the rest of the shows. I'm like, man, this is the teaser trailer, huh? Okay. They're not really holding back anymore.
I think this season's going to be so bloody. It's going to be a great time. All I really need now is my next season of Invincible trailer, please.
Yeah, Amazon keeps saying they're working on it or something. I haven't checked it out, but I think, isn't there an animated thing for The Boys that just came out?
Yes, there's like some weird spin-off thing that just happened.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, The Boys presents Diabolical. You know, I didn't see any news about this. I just saw like a clip on Instagram the other day. I was like, oh, when did this drop?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear about it coming out at all, so it must have been pretty quick turnaround on that.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess it's all out, 8 episodes.
Oh, cool. All right.
This looks like it's a prequel to the show. Just reading the description, because the last episode says, a new superhero Homelander is inducted into the Seven.
Oh, interesting. Wow, the little picture of it over here looks like a Looney Tune cartoon. Oh, each episode is a different animation style?
Oh, is it?
Oh, weird. Yeah, and it's not just one continuous season. These are all like individual stories. So the final episode is where Homelander first joins the Seven.
Oh, okay.
There's an episode called Nubian versus Nubian. That's an interesting title.
Yeah.
But interesting. That's cool. The one that I thought looked like a Looney Tunes episode is called Laser Baby's Day Out.
Yeah, that sounds very Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it very much so looks like it. And then there's another one that's an animated short where pissed off soups kill their parents. But it looks like a Rick and Morty episode. It's really weird. Some of these are strange. It looks like they're all about 15 minutes, so they're pretty short.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
I might check these out. Looks like if you just want to watch a couple of them, you can, so...
Cool. Yeah, I might check that out, get my hype back for The Boys.
I still gotta watch Season 2.
Oh, yeah, Season 2's pretty good, man. There's...
Yeah, I've heard some good stuff. I do gotta say about this Boys trailer, though, I love A-Train's soda commercial, where he's stopping a protest or whatever.
They're clearly making fun of Pepsi for that, right?
Oh, yeah, and like the Kylie Jenner commercial. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's great. I love it. And I love that there's like a superhero boy band in one shot, it looks like. Like, it looks like this season is just gonna just go wild with all of the television personalities of superheroes. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I think AJ's new suit's interesting with the colors.
Doesn't look like he wears it the whole time. Maybe just for the ad?
Yeah, because there's shots where he's just wearing the blue suit, yeah.
I love the Deep having to look at an octopus while he's doing stuff.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like, I haven't read the comics yet, so I don't know exactly what they're doing with the characters, if they're doing their own thing. But with the Deep, it really feels like, oh, let's just keep going in this weird lane for him.
Yeah, like he's totally a fish sexual man or something. I don't know. It's really weird. But it's really funny. I dig it.
Yeah, I'm super interested, man, because there's a cliffhanger at the end of Season 2 with some of our characters, and I want to see where that's going to go and how it ties in everybody coming back for Season 3.
So I was watching a thing here, there's part of this with Soldier Boy, but it looks like he's in like Vietnam or something. I wonder if he's going to have a similar backstory to Captain America, where he was a man frozen in time and then was thawed out or something.
Yeah, it's looking great, man. No release date yet, just says coming soon.
Yep.
And I gotta say, like, it says teaser trailer, but I'm like, this is just a real trailer.
It does have a date, June 3rd.
Oh, did it say a date?
Yeah, right at the end of the trailer. Or at least at the end of the Red Band trailer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says new season June 3rd. Yeah, now I see the end of the commercial again. I'm pretty sure Soldier Boy's deal is going to be that, because it's him taking off like a bunch of stuff, and then he's got like a fat beard.
I know that's supposed to be somebody, right? And okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Soldier Boy. Good superhero stuff happening. I know it's not Marvel or DC or even The Boys, but Tiger and Bunny is getting a second season.
Oh,
Tiger
that's
and Bunny
right.
season 2 is
Yeah.
coming out soon to Netflix. It's coming out I think it's coming out in April actually, which I'm so stoked for, because Tiger and Bunny is one of my favorite anime shows. It's a great riff on superhero just stuff in general. So if you like when stuff makes fun of superheroes, like with The Boys or whatever, this is another great show like that. It's a good time. Go watch season 1. It's only like 20 episodes. It's nice and short. And then this one's starting very soon. So I'm super stoked. Can't wait, man.
Yeah, I've always heard about Tiger and Bunny. I just never picked it up, but I'm gonna have to check it out now.
Yeah, definitely take a look at it. I just love this whole bit in that it's like the evolution of My Hero Academia. It's like what adults in My Hero universe do. Because everybody has like different real world sponsors all over them and stuff. And they all basically compete to stop crimes. And like the more they stop crimes, the more money they make for this company that they work for. So it's got some Boys vibes there, where it's like, oh, hey, they're all working for brand deals and stuff. Right across the front of Bunny's costume, like on his robo suit, it just says Bandai, like in the show. He's sponsored by Bandai. That's the whole vibe of the show. It's great. It really plays around with that stuff. And unlike some of the powers of My Hero Academia, I think everybody in this show has a great power set. Like, they're all really interesting. So check it out. It's a good time. April 8th is that new season.
I'm assuming season 1's on Netflix then.
I think so.
And just to get it out of the way, really, the trailer for Miss Marvel dropped. Right, the new Disney Plus show.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking a little bit about it before we started recording, and just watching the trailer, I'm thinking, this could have been animated.
Oh yeah, Miss Marvel as an animated show probably would have been really fun. There's a lot of that's the one thing I think that looks interesting about the trailer. I'm saying trailer because I don't know if any of that stuff's going to show up in the actual show.
Right.
But they have an Into the Spider-Verse kind of vibe going on with like thought bubbles and like speech things coming up all over the place, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But if that's only in the trailer, then it's like what? Like why even tease that? I don't know.
Because honestly, if that gimmick won't be there, then I feel like the show is just gonna feel so much more boring than it probably will be.
Yeah.
Because it's they're just high schoolers doing stuff, and I mean, sure, that could be cool, but I don't know. Based off the trailer, there's really nothing interesting going on.
And my lord, am I over high school shows? I don't know. It's a Disney Channel original show, but in the Marvel universe, that's exactly what this is. That is what this is.
That is exactly what this is.
It's That's So Raven. If she got invited to be in the Avengers, it's Zach and Cody.
It came out 20 years too late.
Yep, I would agree with that. Yeah. Oh boy. But I don't really have a lot to say other than just that it looks kind of like that animation stuff looks fun. Kamala herself looks boring as all get out. I don't like her powers. It's really dumb they come from an alien thing and she doesn't just get them from being a semi-mutant. I know it's the MCU interpretation, but like everything else is being so comic accurate right now, and this is like the one thing that's not. It's really weird.
For those that don't know her origin, in the comics at one point involving the Inhumans, there was the Terrigen gas that was going across the planet, and it was coming in waves in certain areas, and Kamala herself got hit with it and gained inhuman powers, and she has a real tough time dealing with it in the beginning. The reason she takes the name Ms. Marvel is because, she really looks up to her in the comics and, donned her outfit, and that sort of helped her calm down in the situation of her freaking out with the powers, and then plus the whole dynamic with her family. And then just by having it like, well, just put on this gauntlet and now you have powers, and it's super cool, not really the same character anymore at that point.
Yeah, no, I don't think it really holds up as the same character at all. Which is a bummer because I just, make her a cringy fangirl. or Mary sue the heck out of her like in the video game.
Yeah, and I mean that's like pretty much her only personality kind of thing in the comics too, is that she's just a really big fan. Like she writes fan fiction on Tumblr or something in the comics about the Avengers and stuff. So
yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. There's some interesting bits to it, but for the most part, it's not up my alley too much as a character, and that's okay. I don't gotta like all the Marvel characters. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
But what I will say is that I just wish the power set was a little more like what it looks like in the comics and maybe the video game too. Because it's at least visually different from like anything else we've seen in the MCU so far.
Yeah, and I think that's cool that they're doing that with Disney Plus, right? Because like WandaVision did that in the first half. Oh, let's have a different era of shows, and that visually that looks different. Hawkeye, you have the Christmas stuff. Falcon Winter Soldier, that's just, typical MCU stuff, I guess.
That's honestly the most like typical MCU stuff ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I like that this has a different visual flair. I really do appreciate that about all the MCU shows so far. I think that they at least visually all look different, even if their stories aren't super great all the time. And this does have a visual style that's pretty distinct.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's probably pretty close to the style of Homecoming, or like Far From Home, like the Spider-Man series, which makes sense. It's a high school show, so that's a thing they're trying to do. So that's cool.
I think one of the big offsetting things to me is the whole Captain Marvel stuff involving with this. And sure, like she is a fan in the comics, but MCU-wise, it just feels like they're shoving Captain Marvel down our throats. It's like, you're supposed to like this character a lot. I'm just not, it's not selling it to me,
I'm just like, what has Captain Marvel actually done on Earth to earn, like, all of the merch that Kamala Khan has? I don't know.
If you look at her MCU stuff, it's just her movie, which is in the 90s, so nobody even talks about it in the present.
Yeah, because it was covered up by the government.
And then she shows up in Endgame, which is where people, noticed her. But in there and in Infinity War, she's just like, oh, I'm just a busy person. I have to leave. I have space to deal with. And everyone on Earth is like, oh my God, like Miss Captain Marvel is amazing. It's like, but how do you know that?
But I guess they keep showing her in like authority positions, right? Because she shows up in Endgame in the future as part of the team of Avengers. Yeah. She's got the new haircut and she's like in the holograms. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, but I'm out here in space dealing with things. And then they show her again, like, at the end of Shang-Chi.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay, so she's still around? She's just not doing anything.
But she's just not on Earth, right?
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like there's a little too much time between her movie and the rest of the stuff, maybe. I don't know. I hope she's more interesting in the second film. That'd be really cool if she was, but... Yeah.
I mean, she'll be interacting with, Miss Marvel. So there'll be that, which I think also plays into why her powers are like this in the show, right? Because it's visually similar to Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So I guess that'll be easier to work with.
I guess so.
But yeah, it's just weird. There's that shot of like the high school dance or whatever, and there's just this lit up statue of Captain Marvel. And it's like, yeah, I guess everyone's just a fan. And
I guess.
I mean, Kamala herself has a cosplay of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I just don't know where the fandom came from because she hasn't like been on Earth like ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know. It's really weird.
Yeah, so that's coming out June 8th.
I don't know. This Kamala Khan won't be able to do the thing in the game where she gets like really tall, like where she can just make herself big.
I'm thinking too, like VFX wise, it's probably just easier. Just give her space powers instead of stretching her body.
It's cheaper. Just have her shoot energy out of her hands. But it would have been kind of fun to see her do, like, the elongated man thing and just get really tall and, like, I don't know. Would have been really interesting. But we don't do interesting, I guess. I don't know. For the MCU, we only do slightly interesting.
And see, I think that's where it splits, right? Because like I mentioned, when she gets the Inhuman powers in the comics, she's really freaking out because physically stuff is happening to her, and then here it's it's just the magic powers, so it's not in a mental capacity. It's not going to hit her as hard because it's like it's not happening to her body.
No emotions, only fun. Teenager, only fun.
Mm-hmm.
Only fun for teenager.
Just one last thing to say. She wears a shirt in here, and it has Captain Marvel, the Wasp, and I guess that's Valkyrie as well on the shirt.
Is there? I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, it's in the beginning. It's like this shirt she wears. It's like fan art shirt.
I guess all of the people from the Endgame thing would be famous, I suppose.
Oh, I guess she made it based on the dialogue.
Oh. Ladies, get information.
Okay.
I just gotta say, who in this freaking universe of the MCU would be making fun of another person for wearing an Avengers t-shirt? It's so, I don't know. It's very silly. I just don't buy that people would be making fun of each other for Avengers stuff in this universe, I guess.
Yeah, it's just to get like, yeah, she gets bullied because she's a nerd or whatever.
Yeah, and she does like these daydream moments, I guess.
Well,
yeah, she's got the daydream bits are kind of fun, even if her herself is kind of whatever.
Yeah,
I do like the daydreamy bits. They're fun.
Yeah, if they could go all out with that stuff, I think that would be good.
Yeah, just go nuts. Like, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm curious how she gets her suit, like her actual like pro suit.
Oh, like the end one? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering who gives that one to her, like if her mom makes it or something.
Well, I think we see who the main antagonist is in here.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's this lady talking to her after she gets the gauntlet, and I think the line is, "You don't know what you are, do you?" or whatever she says. So I'm guessing she knows what those powers are, kind of thing, and all that.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see her. She's on screen for like a second.
Yeah.
That's a good way to show off the main villain of your show. I don't know. It's kind of boring. The power set is so boring. It just looks the same with so much other stuff.
Yeah, I won't be checking this out, I don't think. So.
Nah, no, I think I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Yep. Unless I hear something crazy about it, like it's just absolutely excellent, like
yeah.
I think I'm good. But there is another Disney Plus show coming out very soon.
Ooh, we should talk about that. Yeah.
And I am very excited about it because I got invited to the red carpet premiere of Moon Knight, baby. I will be attending the early screening event next Tuesday. So expect a Moon Knight episode coming soon. I'm pretty stoked about Moon Knight. It looks really good, man. I think as opposed to the Miss Marvel trailer, Moon Knight looks far more interesting as a show.
Yes. And we're talking about visuals. This too it just stands out from everything else.
Oh yeah. There's so much more interesting stuff going on. It's like I really don't know how to like describe it. It feels like early 2000s-y in a good way. Like
yeah, I think so.
Like this, like I could almost see Moon Knight fitting into like the Venomverse more than the MCU itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like in some ways.
Yeah, I could see Nick Cage Ghost Rider popping up.
Ethan Hawke looks great in this. I love the way they made Khonshu look, and this final trailer that came out is looking even better. Like.
Yeah, just watching the featurette, looking at the set locations they're at, it's like, oh, wow, we're really going to be exploring a lot of this Egyptian stuff, man. Heck yeah.
Yeah, which I'm all about. I'm like, just embedded into that. It's a good time.
Heck yeah, man. So yeah, March 30th for Moon Knight. Can't wait to start that show.
So it's going to be a good time. I will relay back with all the news about the first episode. I don't know if we'll just see the first one or the first two. I heard they're only releasing the first episode on Disney Plus, like it's only going to be one episode first. So I'm wondering if they'll do the same thing at the event. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, it's only 6 episodes, huh? Okay. I think aside from all that, we could hop into some DC talk. Yeah, from one show to another, over on HBO Max, Peacemaker, Season 1 is out. 8 episodes, I think it was, right?
Yeah, 8 episodes for Season 1. Yep.
And yeah, of course, got the confirmation Season 2. And what did you think, Jake?
You know me, man. I'm a James Gunn fan. I like his older stuff. I love Slither. I love the early James Gunn, like really down and dirty, like almost trauma levels of stuff. Like I just have a different. I think I have a different appreciation for his style. I really dug this show. I think it fits right in there. I love all of the smaller comic book references we get throughout the show. Like just talking about Batmite. This show feels very much just very lived in, which I really like about the universe that it sets up, which makes me bummed about where the DCEU is currently at. But
Yeah.
at least this show is trying to keep it going. Yeah, I really liked it. I do think one of your criticisms fits for me is that I think the sourced songs got a bit much. Like there was a lot of times where I was like, I could have just had regular score in a couple parts, not had a actual song in there.
I don't remember which episode. It was like in the first half of the season where there was 2 songs in one episode. I thought, oh man, like we just did this not that long ago in the episode. Why are we getting another one?
Yeah.
And I get it. James Gunn's a big fan of doing that in his stuff. Similar to, like Kojima does that with Death Stranding. There's moments where songs he likes pop up in key moments, And also, like, the music is just so loud and it's so different from just the regular original soundtrack that plays.
That's a key thing, though, right? That you just said is that it's in key moments in Death Stranding.
Yeah.
In this one, I feel like sometimes it's a little too often. Sometimes.
Like, I would have minded if it was just at the very end of episodes where, like, some scene is happening and then, the music ties in with that. But, yeah, it just felt crowded with licensed music.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if that was the one criticism I had to have for it, it would be that. Because otherwise, I really dug it. I love all the action. This style of comedy really hits for me, like, really hard. I laugh at, like, a lot of it. I think there are some jokes that go, like, too far. Like, John Cena naming every single person that the other guy could have, like, imprisoned or whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, it was funny for the first 3, and now you're just overselling it.
Now you're, like, 20 in or whatever, however many people you said.
There's a few points like that throughout it where I'm like, oh, okay, we can move on. We can get past this. But I don't think those are too much for me throughout the show. And I mean, my favorite character of the series is Vigilante. Like he's so funny. I love his whole deal. He's got like horrible Asperger's, so he's like the most weird superhero, but that's what makes him hilarious. I don't know. It's great. I think overall I enjoyed the show. I like the plot. I like the main storyline running through. I love the character growth for Peacemaker himself. I think John Cena does a great job. I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10. Not my favorite thing, but if you want a good fun time as a superhero show, I think this is good. Don't show it to your kids though. This is not a
No.
This is very much an adult series. A lot of heads being blown off and scenes of encounters of a sexual nature, and just it's a lot.
It's not as intense as The Boys, but there were moments where I was like, yeah, they let James Gunn do what he wanted, huh? Like, they didn't really hold back on some scenes.
James Gunn definitely made a trauma series in this show. He definitely made a trauma show. Which, I don't have a problem with. I like trauma. Toxic Avenger and all that other kind of stuff. I love it. That kind of stuff is great. But I understand that is a very specific taste. What did you think of this, Danny? Because you had some thoughts.
Yeah, so as you guys know, I'm not the biggest James Gunn fan, like we talked about on our Suicide Squad episode. There's just some things I'm not a big fan of that he likes to do. I kept hearing a bunch of stuff with the show, right? Everyone's saying it's amazing, it's hilarious. I'm like, okay, I want to give it a try. Everyone seems like they had fun making this show. They're giving James Gunn just no holds bars, right? Just do what you want. That's probably going to be a good thing. When you let creatives do what they want without any studio interference, that always comes out good. And I watched the first 3 episodes. I was like, okay, that's how it premiered on HBO, and then it went weekly.
I think so. Yeah, and then it was a weekly thing until they were all out.
I think the idea of this operation that they're doing is just a mess the entire time is a good gimmick. Peacemaker is just frustrated, like, this place sucks, or whatever. like all the people working together, and it just doesn't feel organized as it should be because, it's Argus and the mission they're doing is a pretty big deal. It's not the higher end agents over there. That gimmick, I think, is good. I really like John Cena in here.
I love how convoluted Argus's whole thing is. Like, it's great. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's good, and they definitely picked the right characters from the Suicide Squad. Well, I think it's just John, right? The big guy with the beard. I think he's the only one that carried over, right?
No, the blonde lady did too, and that's James Gunn's wife, actually.
Well,
in real life.
Fiance now, right? I think didn't they
fiance.
announce?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. They just got engaged.
Yeah, because she's the one that's on the comms in Suicide Squad, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, so she's around in Suicide Squad. I don't know if a certain person's daughter is around in Suicide Squad. To be honest, I don't really care. I like things she does as a character when it involves actually being part of the main plot, but everything to do with her backstory, don't care.
And that's one of my gripes with the show is some of the humor stuff. Like I said in the Suicide Squad thing, I think the Suicide Squad and Argus kind of stuff should be more on the serious side of things. And to introduce this character and the person that brought that character into the show for this mission, it just doesn't feel like something that person would do. Because it just feels kind of half-assed, and it's like, sure, it's the only person you can trust, really, but that's not saying a lot with this character because she's just way too casual with everything going on. And I will say, for what they're doing and the whole finale thing, I'm like, yeah, James Gunn, he has a type of what he likes to do with obscure aliens and stuff, right? With both Guardians movies, Suicide Squad, and now Peacemaker. I'm like, yeah, I get it. This is his lane. He's comfortable with it.
And that's something that I really dig about James Gunn, is he looks for kind of the weirder stuff in comic books, and then he uses that as like the base for stuff.
I mean, heck, even the first Scooby-Doo movie with Scrappy, right?
Yeah, right? Like, It's like nobody liked Scrappy, and still nobody likes Scrappy, but he used Scrappy in an interesting way, so that's cool.
Yeah, like some ancient magical possession stuff going on. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, James Gunn's whole deal is just doing weird stuff with aliens, because, I mean, there's Slither, where it's an alien worm that takes over a town, like it's all mind control worms that take over the entire town. And then there's the one that he helped produce. I don't think he directed it, but it was the Brightburn.
Oh yeah, I think
the fake Superman movie.
Yeah, he produced it. He didn't really direct it, and
yeah, because it had some of his regular people in it, like Elizabeth Banks and stuff.
Yeah, that's a pretty good movie too.
Yeah, Brightburn's great.
What really put me off on the show in the first 3 episodes was, sure, the license stuff. I'm like, you kind of get tired of it, but the dialogue, I think, for the most part, because a lot of it just felt the same. It's a back and forth between two characters, and they're arguing about something very obscure and almost ridiculous at times, and then the other characters in the room kind of get fed up with it. I feel like that happens almost every episode, and I got tired of it really fast.
That I'll give you. Yeah, there's a lot of that where it's like a pop culture thing, and we're gonna just talk about it now for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, it's a little fillery.
Yeah, like the Berenstein Bears thing. I think that went on too long, and then they came back to it after a few scenes. I was like, oh, okay. That
kind of stuff where it's just it's a little bit shorter conversations, I don't really mind, because I feel like it fleshes out like the character interaction pretty good. But it's more where it's just it goes on without an interruption. I can't think of a specific example, but I remember tuning out of some of them, so that's probably why I can't think of them. Because all the stuff that was interesting kept me engaged, and then there was other stuff where I was just like, we're playing Magic the Gathering. I don't really need to pay attention too hard.
I will say with Vigilante, I grew to like him more, because when he first got introduced, his name is Adrian Chase, because Vigilante is a few different characters in the comics.
Yeah.
And when we said Adrian Chase, the first thing I thought, I'm like, oh, really? Because I really liked Adrian Chase in season 5 of Arrow. It's like a completely different version of that character. So that kind of put me off for a bit. But once I saw what James Gunn was trying to do with his character, bouncing off of what Peacemaker is doing, I kind of like that stuff a little bit more. I think like there's one specific scene where Vigilante has to take over for what Peacemaker has to do. That scene is the perfect example of why Vigilante's in the show.
Yes.
And that stuff was good.
He functions on a different level from some of the other characters, which I really dig. He's just a fun character. I like him.
And I tried looking it up, but I couldn't find anything. But I heard that the actor looked up the character and what they were going to do with him, and he didn't like it because it was too boring, and asked James Gunn, hey, can I just do my own thing? And he kind of showed James Gunn what he wanted to do, and he got the approval for it. Yeah, like obviously Vigilante's not a comical character like this.
Yeah, not normally. He's a bit more Deadpool-y in this show, but not as skilled. Like, but still in a fun way. Like, it's still a different spin.
I did get confused at some stuff, like towards the end, involving like the aliens and all that, which we could get to with some spoilers. But
I think a little bit of that might also come from the fact, and I wonder if this is if this influenced any of the ways that they handled some of the scenes. Vigilante was a completely different actor when they first started working on this show. And they filmed about 45% of his stuff. Then James Gunn and him decided they weren't really meshing. So that's where we got the new Adrian Chase I found out about. I was like, oh, there was another Vigilante actor.
Okay, I didn't hear about that. Interesting.
So James Gunn explains why Vigilante was recast in the Peacemaker series. Oh, they had already shot 5.5 episodes with another actor who's an incredibly talented guy, but we were on different pages about certain things. And I don't think he wanted to continue on the series in the long run. So we brought Freddie in 5.5 episodes in, and I reshot all of his scenes, and you're the first person who asked me that question, which I'm surprised by. But yeah, we reshot, I directed all of the scenes with Vigilante in 5.5 episodes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Freddie Stroma is the guy they brought in, but I don't know who the original actor was supposed to be. It'd be kind of neat to see some of those scenes with the original guy.
Oh, here we go. I guess the actor was Chris Conrad. Okay, so he's been in not a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of small-time stuff.
I mean, he definitely has the look for what I thought Vigilante was.
Yeah, I would have dug this guy as Vigilante. He would have been interesting.
Maybe just the humor stuff. I can't imagine they would change a lot of the writing either, right?
Yeah, I don't know. But if what you were saying happened where Stroma came in and was like, hey, this character's kind of boring, I'm going to spice him up a little bit, then maybe there was a little bit more off-book, off-script stuff.
Like, they would have to change dialogue, too, I'm guessing, for those reshoots, too, with the other characters. That's crazy. Like, they were almost done filming, and then they had to start
5.5 episodes in, and they had to bring him in. Because that would have put it... Because he's not in the first episode.
No, he doesn't show up till the
second episode,
he is in the first one, isn't he?
Is he in episode 1?
I mean, not as Vigilante, but as Adrian Chase, I think he was. Yeah, there he is. He's in one of the set photos with the rest of the cast. Chris Conrad. You know, I'm guessing that was probably around the time James Gunn got the season 2 approval.
Probably, and it doesn't sound like Chris Conrad wanted to keep doing the character.
Yeah, because if it was just a one-off thing, then he might have been okay with it. But since it's like, oh, I have to come back, I'd rather not.
I wonder if they would have originally killed him off.
Yeah, I could see that. The other thoughts before spoilers really is, I just wasn't really feeling it after the first 3 episodes, so I kind of just put it on background for the most part. And then I did, pay attention to key moments in the show. There is some good stuff, like the dynamics between some of the main characters is really good, like with Peacemaker and what's her name?
Hargreave?
Harcourt.
Yeah, I like their chemistry is really fun.
You know what bums me out too is I do think James Gunn's good with a large ensemble, but because I didn't care about some of these characters, it made me want more between other characters that I feel like we could have had more time with, but we had to get everyone's moments in the show, and I'm like, I guess that's understandable, but
there are definitely some characters in this that I was like, I need to see these guys get more. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, especially there's like a whole side arc, involving Peacemaker and his dad. It's like we could have explored a little bit more of that, I think.
Yeah, see, I would have loved more of that and less of Leota.
Yeah.
I didn't need that much of Leota's backstory and stuff. And those scenes, they just dragged, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they really,
so bad. just bad acting. And, like, she's a fine actress in the rest of the show. It's just in those scenes, just terrible. I don't know. But we'll get into it in a sec.
I think if you do like Guardians, Suicide Squad, this is totally right up your alley. I don't really see a lot of negative stuff about the show. But just for me, I'm just not the biggest fan with it. I would be interested in checking out season 2, depending on what they tackle in that show. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about some spoilers.
There's alien butterfly things that burrow into people's brains, and it's freaking horrifying. And I love it.
Yeah, and I do think that is a good choice, not only for James Gunn because of what he likes, but because of Argus. That is stuff that they would handle, right? Like, we have to keep this on the down low because we don't know who's who when it comes to these.
And just the way they take over brains by, like, just diving into a mouth and then drilling up into it and just... Mm-hmm. It's so great. And then they can still, like, feel some of the thoughts coming from the brain, and I'm like, oh, but those people they're definitely dead, though. It's awesome and creepy in, like, such a fun way. I don't know. It's great. I love it. I'm all about it. I thought the twist of one of the guys on the team being one was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where I kind of wish we got more with him.
I would have loved to have learned a little bit more about that particular alien. Like a bigger backstory scene where we see, like, flashbacks to the home world or to, like, however they got here. Something like that would have been kind of fun.
Yeah, because what's interesting about the aliens is in the finale, okay, we have to stop these aliens because, they're taking over people. We don't know what they're trying to do, but it's just not good. And, Myrn, being the alien, he's sort of the inside man, I guess. And he's like, yeah, no, we just have to stop this. Like, we can't have these people here. But then we get the other side, which we didn't really get the whole season. And then all this stuff, it's like, well, actually, we're not evil. We're just trying to do this, this, and that. And
like, we're just trying to survive, and we're trying to fix your planet.
Yeah, we're trying to make the hard choices for you and also trying to live. And I think there is something interesting there, and especially with how Peacemaker handled it.
Yeah, I wish it hadn't been just all encapsulated in the final episode like that. Like, if it had been, like, the last 2 episodes were kind of more about that, would have been, I think, better.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where we have to get into, like, the father-son stuff, right? Because that's, like, the other big aspect of this show.
Yeah, and I do think that ties in with Peacemaker's decision into killing the aliens, right?
Yeah, because he's like, I finally was able to kill the one thing stopping me from doing more.
Yeah, I think Robert Patrick did a good job.
Thought all the racism stuff was really, really heavy-handed. But,
Yeah, pretty blunt on that.
That is the character, though, in the comic books, though. That is exactly that's exactly what that character is. So it's like, it's a thing. It's there.
So here's what I was confused about with him at the end. He gets arrested in the show, right? And he's in jail. And there's a scene where all the insects show up and they just take control of everybody with the police and the people that are in jail. I was like, well, did Peacemaker's dad get taken control of too? Or did he just leave and then he's like, hey, let's get my followers with me? Or was he under control of the butterflies? Like, I got confused at that part.
I don't think he was. I think he was just trying to kill his kid. Because he got framed for all the stuff that Peacemaker was doing, and he was just pissed off. Yeah. So he was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm killing my own child.
Yeah. It was just weird to me because I'm like, well, he was there when everyone was being taken control of. So how did he escape kind of thing? Like, we didn't really get to see that.
He was there, huh?
Yeah, he would have been there because there was that scene, I think the episode before, where he's like, oh, yeah, he's staying in prison. He's not being released. Oh, they made it a point that he's there. We didn't see what happened to him in that moment. We just see him go back home, get his suit, and then his followers are there. And I'm like, well, his followers were in prison as well. Did they survive? How did they survive too, kind of thing?
I can't find any info on whether or not he became a butterfly. I don't think he did. He seemed still pretty in control by the end of that.
Yeah, I don't think he is at the end of it, right? Because of the way he's talking to Peacemaker. And it's like, I mean, sure, the butterflies do retain memories and stuff, but not those emotions behind those memories.
Not to that level.
I think it would have been interesting if he was possessed by a butterfly and Peacemaker knew about it and he had to kill his dad anyways. But the words still hurt Peacemaker all the same, right? Because it's like, oh, he knows those words are true because they're from his father's memories. I think there could have been something there too that would have been interesting. But yeah, that was like the only part I was like, yeah, this, like, I get we have to resolve this, but it just fell off to me. And I'm like, well, we didn't get a clear understanding of what happened with him after the whole butterfly thing. And in the beginning, I was a little off put. I'm like, man, like, I get that, you know, he was what was his name? The White Dragon?
Yeah.
Like, I get he's that, and he's like this super misogynist, racist character. But, and that, you know, like, John Cena, like, kind of doesn't care about that because it's still his father kind of thing. And then literally everyone in the cast is like, dude, your father's an asshole. We should just get rid of him already. And I'm like, man, that feels like so... It was a little off-putting to me, where... I don't even remember her name.
Which one?
Oh,
was
Adebayo. Like? Adebayo was, you know, kind of like nudging John Cena to say, like, yeah, you should just kill your dad. And it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty dark.
Or
like,
she was... No, I'm sorry, not to Peacemaker. She said that to Vigilante.
Oh, Vigilante. Yeah, that whole bit... Oh, boy, that was bad. Yeah, I didn't like that whole bit with Vigilante and stuff, but Vigilante realized that it was a bad thing to do anyway, so he didn't do it, which I really appreciated.
He realized after they released him from prison, like, he was still ready to kill him before they took him out, right? Yeah, because it wasn't until he talked to Harcourt, I think, because she picked him up.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Adebayo and how she was just messing, like, everything up from, like, a back end. Oh my god, the stupid journal thing, and just, I don't know, like...
Okay, I will say the journal thing is a classic Waller thing, I think. There's no involvement whatsoever with Argus, because that's the whole point of Task Force X, Suicide Squad, and then that this is a secret mission that's not officially on the books and all that. But yeah, Adebayo just I was not having it for the majority of this show.
Yeah, same.
And I think it's also just how she's introduced. It's like, oh, yeah, I got laid off on my job and I need some money and my mom offered me a job. And it's like, oh, but you weren't even involved in this kind of field prior to this. Like, you had a normal job, a normal life, and now you're just thrown into here. I'm like, that's kind of...
Yeah, that's pretty strange. Yeah, Adebayo was not my favorite. She's probably my least favorite character in the show.
Again, I think Harcourt was pretty good here, too. A main staple for the team.
Yep.
And again, just her stuff with Peacemaker was great, and you know the progression of their relationship in the show was nice. You know, we didn't see it too often, but there is that scene where Peacemaker goes to the bar the first time. Asshole, like, you were following me. I knew you were coming in here, and she just wasn't having it with him. But then the next time they go to the bar, he's asking actually a personal thing of what's in his file about him and his dad and all that stuff, and that was good.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That was good character growth for both of them.
And even with at the end of that scene where she said, "Wait, that's it?" and he's like, "No, I mean, I'll compliment you like I did last time, but yeah, I was here for something else." And you know, she kind of gains that respect for him. And yeah, I was like, "Oh, this is really good character development."
Yeah, it's a good time. I really appreciate a lot of the, like, deeper character moments of the show. I think one of my favorite scenes is like two of my favorite scenes are both with John Cena Peacemaker. I love when he goes home and he just turns on the record and he just loses it, and like he's just like deriding himself. And then I love later when he oh gosh, what is it? When he plays the piano in that one scene, I think is really cool.
Oh yeah.
His piano scene. I was like, wow, this is pretty emotional. This is great. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, wow, it's got to some deep places in a fun way. It's a good time. Yeah.
And again, you know, that's just another thing James Gunn is so good at with his stuff, right? Is actually getting deep with these characters when it's supposed to happen. I know I'm not the biggest fan of Guardians 2, but those moments in there always stand out, right? Like, I think with Drax, right, when he's talking to Mantis outside and she feels the emotions in, I'm like, oh, this is great.
And then there's the scene between Rocket and Yondu where he's like, "You're the same as me, boy." And it's just like, yep, I know what you're doing because we're the same. And I'm like, oh. And there's some good scenes like that in this show, too, that I really feel like hit pretty hard.
Yeah, and I really like those moments in here. Then that's the part, again, where I wish we got more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the show is a comedy first and foremost, I guess.
I mean, just from the magnificent intro, which by the way I watched every time a new episode started, I did not skip once. That intro is just, it's so good. Seeing them all dance with stone faces is just my favorite. It's great. Oh, and then Judo Master's hilarious. He came out of nowhere, but he's great.
Yeah, again, just that obscurity James Gunn loves. And what surprised me is that he stayed for the rest of the show. Like, I kind of thought he would just be a gimmick thing for a few episodes. But no, he was there all the way to the end.
Yeah, he sticks around for the whole series, which is pretty fun. Did he survive? He makes it out, right? I think.
I don't think he dies. I don't think he dies.
No, I think he makes it out. But yeah, he's great. Like, just I love his whole little battle he has at the diner. I love that he's constantly eating Cheetos. Like, that's like his main thing. Like, it's great. Was he a butterfly? I don't think he was a butterfly.
He was one of the characters that would have probably helped the case with the butterflies. He was trying to convince Peacemaker at one point that, like, no, they're not what you think, kind of thing. Like, they're not evil and all of that.
Oh, yeah, because he says that, he tries to say the butterflies are not, and then
gets shot.
Then gets shot, right? Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. One dynamic I really did like in the show is between Peacemaker and the rest of the team and them not really telling him everything.
Yeah, that's great. Like, just throughout the show, he's like, what the heck are the butterflies? And no one's telling him anything.
Yeah, I like it because it's Peacemaker actually being serious because he's that dedicated to his job. And that's why he keeps the one butterfly that they didn't kill. And he's trying to figure out stuff on his own, and that could kind of backfire in the show. And then they get mad at him. He's like, "Well, hey, you guys didn't tell me anything. Like, what do you expect from me?"
And I love that just everybody knows that what's his face is a butterfly, like except for Leota and Peacemaker. Like, everybody already knew like weeks ago.
Well, I know Harcourt found out during the mission, like early on, off screen.
Yeah,
I think she explained it, but yeah, they're just cool with it, and it's like, oh, okay.
And then the other, like, what's his face?
Oh, John.
John just is like, I don't hear this. I'm not hearing this. La la la. Like, oh my god. And John was great. I like John Economos very much as a character.
He had some good stuff in there, and he felt like as he did in Suicide Squad. I wasn't a fan of him in the movie, but here we get more dialogue and screen time with him, and yeah, he has his moments for sure.
He's a level above. What's her face? Leota?
Oh, Adebayo?
Yeah, he's a level above Adebayo, but he's still, like, lower ring. He's not Vigilante, Peacemaker, and Harcourt levels. He's lower string. Loved Eagly. I thought Eagly was great.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah, I'm so happy they didn't kill Eagly. Like, holy crap. Like, he could have died. The operating table scene is, like, probably the best scene in the show, in my opinion. The eagle just starts hugging him, and it's, like, after this big, long speech, and, like, how John Cena is just praying to God about, just bring him back, please, I'm gonna do different, I'm gonna be different, and, like, that, and then Eagly comes back, and it's, like, that's the turning point. That was his big moment, right there, where he, like, changed, I think. Because it hadn't really been cemented, I feel like, throughout the show until that point. Like, he was still kind of dancing around it.
Yeah, he kept off-putting what was going on inside of him by joking around and being a little too extra as Peacemaker. And of course, it's all dealing with him killing Rick Flag, thinking, wow, like, I really shouldn't have done that.
Like, I really messed up.
Yeah. Well, and even in the beginning, you know, like, he's pissed off and saying, like, I killed Rick Flag for you people. You know, and he's sure he's pissed off at Argus for wanting to keep him there, even though he did so much. But he's also pissed off at himself that he killed Rick Flag.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why it makes sense there's a show after the movie, because I did want to see that aftermath, the repercussions Peacemaker had to deal with himself.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they dove into, and that's great.
He's telling Harcourt, like, I really don't want to kill people anymore. Like, that's a really good moment. Also, too, because Harcourt's kind of in the same position that she, you know, she's in this job, and she's starting to really not like it anymore.
Like, she's starting to get bitter about it also. But that's, and then there's the scene where, like, they all go out for, like, a day. I don't even remember what they did, but they, like, they went on some mission, and then they're all coming back, and they're all just having a great time, and, like, Harcourt takes the picture of the three guys, and I'm like, that's some wholesome stuff right there, man. Them listening to the music on the drive over to hype themselves up and everything. Like, I was like, yeah. This is the kind
that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, like, I think it's around, like, episode 4 or 5 or something, but I remember that being just, like, a great time. Oh, yeah, it's when they take out the plant. Like they go into the plant and find out some more information about it, like the packaging plant.
Which I gotta say, it was a great scene with Peacemaker and Adebayo where what did she say? Like, let's just keep things like low or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I won't go too crazy or whatever. And then he turns on the X-ray helmet and just starts blasting people with the shotgun.
That whole bit was so funny. Oh man, I loved all his different helmets too. I thought those were really funny.
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't expect them to be different in shape as well.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. I was like, what a good way to incorporate all the different comic book designs he's ever had. Like, that's pretty fun.
Yeah, that scene with the shotgun just reminded me of the scene with him and Bloodsport when they're at the camp and they're taking turns, like, who can kill the best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it had that similar feeling. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
I'd love to see, like, Bloodsport pop up in Season 2. Like, have Idris Elba come back.
You know, I almost wanted one character from the movie to show up in here as well. I don't know which one I would have wanted from the Suicide Squad
we
cast,
did have characters show up from a movie, just not the Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, which kind of up in the air with.
I'm cool that they did it. Like, it's nice that they did it. That's how I feel about it.
Did somebody call them, like Amanda Waller called them in or something, or did like the explosion kind of brought them there? Right? It's like one of the two.
It's either the explosion, Amanda Waller, or they were on the same trail of stuff. Because sometimes that happens where the Justice League just ends up crossing paths with Amanda Waller because they've both been researching the same stuff. So I don't know, could be that.
That scene, what I like about it is this is what kind of the MCU movies or whatever could do too, right? It's like, well, how come these characters aren't there? And it's like, well, what if they just showed up at the end when everything's over?
Yeah, like they got there just a little too late.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I think that would make sense for stuff like that.
And that's what I really like about that whole scene is that, like, it doesn't really matter how the Justice League found out about it. They knew that something was going on. They just got there too short, like too little, too late. Timeline wise, I am a little bummed though that it wasn't the whole league, because it was supposed to be.
So yeah, so it was Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and Aquaman, but they cut out two other members that were on set, right? Like didn't they film that?
Yeah, they were fully shot. They were there in the scene. Batman and the Cyborg.
I think we mentioned it, I think, in the last episode, but yeah, that really speaks to what Warner Brothers doesn't want to focus on.
Yeah, that's a big bummer, because I don't think it would be too crazy to put Batman in there, because he's about to be in the Flash movie. I think that would have been perfectly fine. Cyborg, I kind of understand, because I think there's some weird stuff going on with Ray Fisher not allowing his likeness to be used anymore or something.
Oh, really?
This, that, or the other reason. It's really weird.
Okay, because I figured it is Warner Brothers not wanting to use Cyborg because of the Ray Fisher stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a combo of the two things. Either way, I understand Cyborg not being there, but Batman not being there, like that's just silly.
Probably mentioned it in our chat, but yeah, I think also because The Batman came out, and it's like, well, let's focus on Robert Pattinson for now.
I still don't think this would have interfered with that, but that's just.
Oh, same. I don't think so either. And also maybe because like, well, let's not show Batflick because he only has one movie left and he's going to get replaced after that. So let's just not.
Yep. I don't know. It's really weird, but it is kind of fun that they did show there are some pictures floating around on Instagram from a couple of the stunt people that worked on the show, and they were the ones who got to dress up in the Justice League outfits. So there's ones for Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman, confirming that Batman was shot in the scene and just wasn't there. And I love that they bring back around the fish joke with Aquaman, which relates back to the boys from earlier. It's great. I love that. I think it's really funny, especially for this show, to kind of just throw a tiny joke of that in there. I'm like, it's a good time. It doesn't go as hard as the Harley Quinn series, but it's just like poking fun enough for me to not be over the edge.
And I do got to say the stand-in for Cavill, he would look pretty good as Superman. He's got the look for sure.
Pretty good time with the show overall, I think. Oh, and the one that I was talking about this entire time, the little man I was referring to was Batmite.
Yes.
Was Batmite. I want Batmite in the next one. I need Batmite in the next season, please. Make him the main villain.
Yeah, I wonder how bombastic they're going to get with that kind of stuff for season 2 anyways. Because more or less, aside from the butterflies, it's a grounded cast, right? Nothing crazy with the powers like in Suicide Squad. One thing in the finale I really did not like was with Adebayo and her revealing Task Force X, right, the Suicide Squad, on the news. It's weird because she's talking about the Suicide Squad, and to me that implies that, oh, she's talking about like the team right now, right? Like they were the quote unquote Suicide Squad because it was off the books and all that. But I'm like, man, it's just, we're getting it revealed now. You know, Amanda Waller's just watching it on TV, and I'm like, yeah, this is just so weird, man.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I think the idea of saying like, oh yeah, the DC world, like there's so much out there that we haven't seen yet. And I think that's a cool idea, like with Batmite and like all the other, and like they mentioned Green Arrow, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. You know, we don't have to get them introduced first on screen for them to be mentioned in the universe. I'm like, that's fine.
Just the mention of them is pretty cool to me. I like that aspect of it.
And that's a pretty comic book thing to do. Yeah. Just name drop a bunch of characters like that.
It's almost like some of those pages that pop up where it's just like, and then this thing happened with blah, blah, blah. And it's like, refer to issue number of comic book this and that. You know, we don't have that to do here because they haven't released any of these things regularly. Like Green Arrow isn't fully connected to this or nothing. I think it's fun that they still do that. It makes it feel more comic booky.
Yeah, and I think that does kind of give them room too on what to do next, because now they could just, you know, pick and choose whatever they want and say, like, I mean, yeah, they've been here the whole time. It's not like they need to be introduced now into the universe. It's like, no, it's just always been here. I thought for sure Harcourt died.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was like, whoa. But they all made it. Everybody made it.
And, you know, the scene with her and Peacemaker was good too in the hospital.
Yep.
That's one of the things I would be interested in seeing progress in season 2. Like, that would probably hook me if we're going to get more focus on that.
Very strange, some of the stuff in this show, but other stuff was pretty cool. I'm excited for season 2, though. I think season 2 could be really interesting if they kind of, you know, take some notes on season 1, like maybe dialing back a little bit on some of the comedy and giving a few more of those deeper character moments some room to breathe. I think that'll help a lot. And also less music.
For sure, those improvements, yeah. Yeah, I'm curious about the aftermath of everything here with the reveal of Suicide Squad and how's Argus going to handle that, and what is Peacemaker going to do after this, really.
Like, where does it go from here? It'll be interesting to see how that goes down. I mean, season 2's being made, so... Like,
Suicide Squad 2 is not going to happen before this season 2, so that's going to be interesting.
Are they making a Suicide Squad 2?
I would say yes, I think, because it did so well, right? Like, they kind of should. And also, like, with that cast, too, it's like I also want to see the aftermath of what happened in there, the death of Rick Flag, and just the ending of them saving the day, and how Waller did not like that, and, like, what's the repercussions of that. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have much else to say about Peacemaker.
I think I've talked out Peacemaker. I don't know how much of it I'm going to remember going forward. It's kind of one of those kind of shows, but still a fun time. Made me laugh. Gave me some joy.
And so, with that, we can move on to the big piece of this episode.
Yes.
The Batman.
It's great. Go see it. That's all I'm going to say. Just go see it. Just go watch the movie. Go watch it. Yes. It's great. Yep. That's just go watch it. It's a good time. Batman is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it's 3 hours.
It's a long one, but it's a good 3 hours. It doesn't feel too long.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure they could have shaved some scenes down to cut down the time, but I didn't mind it at the end of watching it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's really fantastic. Everybody pretty much killed it, acting-wise.
Yeah, there wasn't a bad person in the bunch. It was so well directed and executed. Like, there's minor things didn't fit for me. Like, there's some stuff that happens to Batman that I feel like he should have gotten a lot more injured.
Yeah, one scene in particular for sure.
Yeah, there's a real tough one where I was like, oh.
Yeah. Let's say very Black Widow-esque.
Yes. But he does still walk away at least limping. So, I'll give him that. They at least made it look like he felt pain.
It was just a little too much for that scene.
Yes, I agree. I felt like they could have done something different that didn't look as violent and still had the same effect. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. We'll
get into it. But I think overall, I love it. I love this movie. I love the world they've created. Gotham looks great. Shooting in Scotland was such a brilliant idea. Like, to make the Gothic architecture stand out. Like, beautiful, wonderful, great movie. I would never guess that this was shot during COVID. I never would. I would never guess that in a million years.
Yeah.
It looks great, like, in comparison to that. It's just stellar.
Well, I think at that phase of filming, when they were filming the movie, it wasn't as restrictive as No Way Home, right? Because their shots in No Way Home, you could tell, like, oh, yeah, they had to be a certain distance away from each other filming these scenes.
And they had to be on a green screen in a different room or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this movie definitely, like, didn't have that. There wasn't any of that in this. There's so many scenes with so many people in one small room that I'm like, how did they shoot this during COVID?
Yeah, exactly. I did want to bring up a quote from Matt Reeves talking about this movie.
Okay.
Because, remember, he was the director for Ben Affleck's version of this movie. Didn't really want to do that movie, and instead he wanted to do this. And he kind of dove into why the Ben Affleck one just wasn't up his alley. Just to paraphrase, he said, like, it looks cool, very James Bondian in there, but he might not be the person for it. I think what he means is, like, the cameos that would show up and the characters that would be involved in the story, right? Like DCEU-wise, right? With the other League members, I would imagine. And then he explained to DC, like, this is the type of stuff I would want to do with a Batman movie. And, you know, that's what we got with Robert Pattinson. Yeah. And I think it makes sense because Matt Reeves, it sounded like he didn't want to jump into a pre-established world already. Instead, he was like, let me just make my own and then branch out from there. And I think he would have a better time doing that. And I think that shows, right? Because we're getting those 2 spin-off shows that he's involved with.
Yeah, we're getting the Gotham City Police Department show. I think is supposed to take place during year 1 of Batman being around. So Batman will probably be in parts of it, but in a much more minor way, I would imagine. And then we're getting the, what's the other one?
Penguin.
We're getting the Penguin show, that's right, which is excellent. I'm all for that, because Penguin, you know?
And I think he wanted to explore a more gritty world like this, right? Where I think Batfleck probably wouldn't have been as gritty as this.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been a little more fantastical.
I imagine Wonder Woman would have probably been in the movie. At least that's what I hope, to deepen their relationship.
Yeah, some aspect of Wonder Woman probably would have been here.
Yeah, maybe Barry Allen coming in with his quips and his fanboyisms of Batman.
Yep.
I could understand why, like, that's just not for me, because that kind of feels like, oh, that's expected for the movie, so I have to do it even if I don't want to.
So he probably didn't want those restrictions of, like, he probably had a very specific story in mind. He definitely did. This is a very specific kind of Batman story, I think.
Yeah.
The detective aspects of this film would have worked if those other characters would have been around.
I would have loved to seen that movie that Ben Affleck and Matt Reeves would have worked on together, but this is really good too.
As much as I would have loved to have seen that Batfleck one, which we've been getting concept art for, which it looks really good.
Oh, right. What his Batsuit would have been in the movie, right?
Yep, like Batfleck's Batsuit, and then we also got to see a Deathstroke redesign, which was really good. Like, I was like, man, those are both pretty dang good.
That's another thing, too. I think Matt Reeves could have done some good stuff with Deathstroke.
And you never know, man. You never know. That movie could still be a thing later down the line. I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it happening, but probably, obviously, not with Ben Affleck, right?
Yeah.
Which is a sad thing to say. I think I'm ready to talk spoilers.
Yeah, I don't really think there's too much else I want to say other than the soundtrack's amazing. I love all the music choices. Unlike, Peacemaker, this has one major... I think it might have a couple sourced songs, but I don't remember the other ones other than the Nirvana one.
Yeah, which blew up on Spotify after opening weekend.
But that Nirvana song is, like, perfectly fit to this film. I love the way he shoots the movie. I love the way Batman looks in this film. The suit looks great. It's wonderful. I think all the costuming's awesome. Penguin looks amazing. Facial prosthetic stuff. Like, there's only slight moments where I hear Colin Farrell come through. Otherwise, it's a near perfect disguise. John Turturro in this movie is also wonderful.
Falcone, right?
Yeah, absolutely stellar. That was probably one of the best performances I've seen from John Turturro.
Yes.
He was just so evil and gross and spine-chilling, but also, like, with this weird, respectful side. It's so strange, like, how he plays that character, but I love it.
when his character showed up on screen, I was thinking, oh, but like this guy looks familiar. Like I know this guy. He sounds familiar, and then look it up. It's like, oh wow, yeah, this is definitely not something he would normally do in a role.
No, it's great. I love how secretive that role was kept. Like he's not really in the trailers. Like anywhere.
No, he's not. Yeah,
which is great because it's perfect.
Yeah, no, I thought he did a great job. I read some thoughts about his character, and it's like, oh, I was expecting him to be comedic and stuff. I thought that was going to ruin the movie, and it's like, no, but it's always good when actors can get out of their element.
I really appreciated him for playing such a serious role. Because it's definitely not having just watched Transformers 2 the other day, just randomly.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy, is he not Agent Simmons in this movie?
No.
Ooh, man. I loved Paul Dano, too. Paul Dano was just...
Oh, man.
Spectacular.
Yeah, when I found out he was going to be in this movie and he was going to be Riddler, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Yeah. And then just seeing what he did with him, I was like, oh, man, it just was more than I expected.
Oh yeah, I love it. It was but I feel like we can't really talk about the Riddler until we talk about spoilers.
Let's just get into it, man. Go see the movie. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, just go check it out. I will say, I don't think you have to see it in IMAX because I saw it on IMAX. I saw it on like a fan first preview night deal. It's fine, but I felt like I would have enjoyed this, and maybe this is me just getting older. I don't know, but I just felt like I would have had a better time watching it just on a regular screen. But we were also pretty far forward, and I think specifically the scene that I was having trouble with was the car chase.
So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into spoilers. I just want to say I got hooked immediately in the beginning of this movie. Just the way the narration Robert Pattinson's doing, getting a scope of what Gotham looks like, and then the walk introduction of him in the at the train station. Just oh my gosh, that was really good.
Yeah, this whole freaking thing is just oh boy.
I will say I thought it was year one that this movie was taking place. I kept hearing year one being brought up, but I guess that was for the show because this is the second year that he's being Batman. But I think that makes sense too. Like I think I prefer the focus on year two versus year one, at least with what was going on in the movie.
I think this makes more sense for a year two, just because it allows for people to already know who he is.
And man, I gotta say, dude, the suit just looks amazing, man. Like when he walks out of the shadows, oh my god.
The part that I really love about Batman walking out of shadows in this movie is just, this is one thing about IMAX that I will say worked really well. The sound in IMAX, whew, amazing. When Batman shows up to like freak people out from the darkness and he's just stomping out of the darkness. The booms of those footsteps in an IMAX theater. Oh my gosh, man, it was awesome. I loved that.
Yeah, that slow buildup of him walking in and all those, I forget what that gang is called with the paint on their face, but like them, anxiously looking at that doorway and just hearing these footsteps come. It's like, oh, is that him? And, they look up and they see the signal out. It's like, oh, man. I also like the scene with the aftermath. Everyone runs away and the guy that was being jumped, he tells Batman, like, just don't hurt me. And it's like, oh yeah, like this is still early Batman because people still fear him. Like that guy clearly saw like, oh, he saved him, but is he going to attack me? I have no idea.
I love that aspect of him instilling fear in so many people. And I also like that is what his character arc in this movie is he's been so obsessed with making people scared of him that he's ruined his public image. I kind of really like that. I think it works better here than it does in the Nolan movies. Just yesterday, actually, in preparation for the podcast today, I rewatched Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. We rewatched both of them. And both of those movies have aspects of that, but they're not really like a central focus of it. It's just kind of like, oh, it's a thing that happened because Batman's been a thing. And it doesn't directly affect Bruce at all. Like, it's so indirect in those movies. I'm thinking specifically in The Dark Knight when Joker drops the dead body of the dude in a Batman suit off the roof into the window, which, first of all, nobody went to the roof to go find the Joker. A lot of questions in those movies. Joker killed this guy because he was dressed up as Batman, and that guy was dressed up as Batman because he was following Batman's example. It's so indirectly handled. Like, it almost doesn't even affect Bruce. But in this movie, everything is so direct, and, like, the attack on Alfred being such a big aspect of, like, that, huge. Like, way huge.
I think because it's a much more personal thing in this movie versus what Christian Bale did, the biggest difference with this movie from other Batman movies is it's pretty much Batman almost majority of the time.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single scene without Batman in this movie.
The only real Bruce Wayne scene is him going to the courthouse, but that doesn't even last that long, and it's not a real focus on the overarching thing with this movie, which is interesting of what people thought about that. I've seen some people say they didn't like Bruce Wayne in here because he's not what they expected him to be, which is what Christian Bale and Ben Affleck brought recently. And it's like, well, yeah, no, this makes sense because he just came back, right? If we're still following like the same continuity with Batman, he just came back to Gotham 2 years ago, and he's still trying to do this Batman project, and he doesn't really care about all the Bruce Wayne side of things. He doesn't need it really to help the city like he wants to. Personally, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought those aspects of his character in this were wonderful.
Yeah, because he's still learning of how he has to be Batman, and eventually along that road, he has to learn that, oh, I need to be Bruce Wayne to a certain capacity as well.
Like, I gotta find a balance between the dark and the light, so that way I can attack it from both sides.
If we get the Batman 2 or 3, I'm sure that's going to be explored, and it's going to be more emphasized at that point. But with this movie, we didn't need that stuff. We don't need a scene of Bruce Wayne saying, like, oh, let me buy this hotel because I can.
That scene is pretty great, though. You know how I would compare this to? Like, this is the Spider-Man Homecoming to the original Spider-Man. This Batman is what Spider-Man Homecoming is, Batman Begins. Because in Batman Begins, he gets all the way up to the point of being able to buy the big hotels, and he puts on the Bruce Wayne persona, and he realizes that he has to balance out, and he goes through all that stuff in one movie, which is kind of like the first Spider-Man, where he does the high school bit, he goes through all the Uncle Ben stuff, and then he's in college by the time the movie's over, and he's like living on his own with Harry. In Spider-Man Homecoming and in this movie, it's very much like this is just a single small event in the entirety of their character stuff. And we still have a lot more to go to get them to where we know them at, which I really dig.
I mean, man, Jeffrey Wright killing it as James Gordon.
Yeah, perfect Gordon, man. He's just got like the best mannerisms. I love how buddy him and Batman are.
Really big dynamic for the whole movie. I mean, we see him walk into where somebody got murdered, right? He's in the crime scene. Gordon, you're okay with this kind of stuff? I'm like, yeah, this is a really big deal. Just the way he walked around and analyzed it as Batman.
Yeah, I love that scene because it's great setup for like the gadget that he's using, because there's so much focus on him looking around at stuff and at people, and it's like, oh, are they going to do like a Sherlock Holmes thing with him where he's very, like, Sherlockian, he's looking around at stuff and he's analyzing on the fly. But it's like, no, later it's revealed that he's wearing recording contact lenses, which are just recording everything he's seeing. Every single thing he sees, he records, which is awesome. Like, I love that aspect of it. I think it's super cool. So he can just go back and he can review everything he's looking at. I love his like little journal notebook keeping he's doing, because he can't keep track of the days anymore. He's got to put them in a notebook.
I believe it's called the Gotham Project.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something we haven't really seen before.
It's like his plan for how he wants to fix Gotham, testing all this different stuff out on how to do it. It's pretty cool. What'd you think of that Batmobile?
Oh my gosh, it's so good, man.
It's so dope.
You know what it reminds me of? I think I've probably mentioned this before. Thomas Jane's Punisher, of like, you know, like the build up of him building the car.
Oh yeah.
And just seeing what it can do. And I think this just took it a step further. It's intimidating, right? You just hear the revving of the engine right when he's going to go chase the Penguin. Then seeing the stunt of them driving it through the fire and it coming down. I was like, oh my gosh, man. It's just, oof.
One of my favorite parts of it was when it first started up and like in the IMAX theater, it sounded like the growling of like a lion. Like, it was like, oh man, this thing is evil. It's so scary. I loved that. I just love how powerful it is too. Like, it's able to just like trounce through other vehicles, and like the afterburner on the back is amazing. And I like his bat cycle too. Like, I like that most of the time he's riding around on a motorcycle, because this is so early on. He doesn't have like the grappling hook systems that he would in the future. So like, he doesn't get around by like swinging from rooftop to rooftop. He's doing ground level stuff.
I like the suit, or like it's the scene where he hits the freeway, tackles on the cape to make it a fly suit. That was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. Like, there's a little bit more to it than just magnetizing the cape fabric or something. Practical until it leads into the one scene in the movie that I don't like. Holy crap. He should be dead. I'm sorry. He should have died. this movie's so realistic and gritty, and then they do that, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So he pulls out the parachute getting ready to land, but he's going too fast, and he mistimed it, and then he hits the bridge.
He, like, gets swung around and smacks into the bridge, and then he, like, flies through a car. Like, and somehow he's able to get up and just walk away with a slight limp on his ankle, and I'm like, your neck should be broken.
Yeah, definitely the least realistic thing in this movie. It feels like that Black Widow scene where she falls down, like, 4 stories.
I get why the scene is there, because it's showing that he's not Batman yet, you know? Like, good experienced Batman would have made that jump and wouldn't have had a problem. But this Batman gets smacked around and everything. I think they could have made it, like, just a touch less violent. It still would have worked. Maybe just don't have him hit the bridge.
Yeah, he could have just hit a truck, and I think you could have got the same effect.
I think he could have just, like, hit the truck, slid really awkwardly on it, and then, like, maybe fallen off the top of it. Totally would have worked for me. But him, like, whipping around and smacking the bridge at, like, 80 miles an hour, I was like, no. Hold on.
I did like that quick POV perspective when he was flying in that version. That was cool.
Yeah, that was great. And I liked him zooming past the window and stuff, too. Like, he looked real spooky, which I really enjoyed about that aspect of it. I was like, oh, yeah, it reminds me of Batman Begins when he's swooping over the city and all the people are looking up at him with Scarecrow stuff. And they're like, oh, he's scary. I'm like, This Batman looks like a spooky thing flying at nighttime.
Man, shout out to Colin Farrell, dude. He killed it as Penguin.
He stole for me. Every scene he was in, he stole for me.
Yeah, you could really tell he enjoyed playing that character. He was on Hot Ones, and he talked a little bit about that and how fun it was, especially with the prosthetics.
Cool.
One of my worries early on with the announcements and stuff for the movie was like, man, this is a really crowded movie with all these characters, but Penguin wasn't really a focus. Like, he only was focused on when he needed to be.
He was just another mob boss, and now it's like he's in a perfect spot to become like a main villain going forward. And it seems pretty similar to the story of, I don't know if you've read the book, but Batman Year One. That story is very similar to this in that Penguin runs for mayor against another one, and it becomes like this whole new corporate espionage thing, and it kind of leads more into like who killed Bruce Wayne's parents and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I could see that being an aspect of this series, because it definitely pulls a lot from that story. So pretty neat stuff. Penguin's going to be real interesting to see in the future.
I want to see the show now.
I'm real curious about it. I love his whole bit where he's like, you idiots can't even speak Spanish correctly.
Oh, yeah. I got a little surprised. I'm like, whoa, like Batman's actually going to the Penguin for help. This is interesting. What was it? He was trying to get information, and he's like, well, the only person he could really turn to right now is the Penguin.
Yeah.
I also like that scene, too. And it ended up being a bit where Batman just knocks on the club door, and it says, do you know who I am?
I love the juxtaposition of that, where it's like, when he's Batman, he's big, and he's imposing, and he's scary, and he can beat the crap out of these dudes. So, like, it's like a spooky thing for him to show up on their doorstep. But then, when he comes back later, he has to be Bruce Wayne, and he doesn't know how to do it. Like, he's just like, like,
yeah.
Do you know who I am? And they're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, so many just excellent shots of really just Batman. It's just good all around. I liked Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. I thought she was fine for what she was doing in here.
Yeah, I didn't think she was too bad. I like the soundtrack that accompanied her.
Yeah, I mean, I was for sure surprised how important she was to the plot at one point, and like how connected she is.
I dug that a lot. That was actually one of my favorite twists of the movie, was her connection to everything in a direct, indirect way. Because like Falcone didn't know. Catwoman's Falcone's daughter. A huge twist, and it was great. His illegitimate daughter.
Yeah, her mom worked at that club and was like kind of one of Falcone's ladies.
I had a pretty fun time with that being a thing. And I think that added a lot to what she was trying to do motivation-wise. I don't know, it gave an extra edge to Falcone, which was fun because of how he reacted to it. Like, was pretty interesting. And just how it, like, set him up to implicate him. That was awesome. Like, it all worked out in the ramifications of the law until the Riddler got involved. But, like, I loved that they were fully doing it. They were setting him up to get him. This is really well thought out and interesting, and I don't know. It was a fun time. I didn't really buy the chemistry between her and Batman. It was a little underdeveloped for me.
I think it's more of a romanticized kind of way, because here comes it's Batman, just this presence about him give this attraction to Catwoman. Like, she likes the mystery and all of it behind that. And she's like a playful kind of character anyways. So I think it worked out fine. Bruce falling in love with her, or to like some point, I'm like, that's a little too much. I think it would have been better if it was just kind of like a one-sided thing. Like, she kept being flirtatious and he just kind of like brushes it off. She'll tease that she'll come back because of him kind of thing. I think that would have worked out fine. I do kind of see where you're coming from though, right? Because it's not like they share a whole lot of screen time together.
Yeah, it's where she takes the contact lens out and then she just disappears for a large part of the movie. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. Like, I kind of wanted more, like a little bit more in between there. Like, I do like that she has like a whip of sorts. Like, when she's like swinging at some guys, she's got like something that wraps around her waist. I like the way she fights. I think she fights just like Catwoman should fight. I love the scene where Batman just beats her immediately in her apartment, and he's like, "You gotta listen to me." And then I love, or I guess it's in the murdered guy's apartment. Oh, I like that just her apartment's full of cats. It's just a fun bit, and like the whole like, "You got a lot of cats." I loved that there were just like little moments, that kind of humor sprinkled out. That was pretty fun. It wasn't overbearing. MCU levels of stuff.
The dynamic that's fun with them is that she's trying to loosen up the conversations, but he's just Batman. No, I'm just going to be the straight man the whole time.
Yep.
And her leaving, I think, is good. That way we have more room for other stuff with Batman's arc.
I think it works for what they're setting up. And I just like that Batman doesn't have to be tied down to her like immediately yet. Like, it's like, no, we got to develop that a little more.
Andy Serkis did a good job.
Yeah.
It's not a whole lot of stuff in there, but I mean, it felt like Alfred. I could have seen Jeremy Irons just play the same role.
Oh, yeah, that definitely could have been Jeremy Irons. I like that this Alfred taught Bruce how to fight. I like that they brought that up. Like, that it wasn't like he didn't learn it from ninjas or anything. He learned it from Alfred, which I guess sets Alfred up to kind of be like Pennyworth, right? Like the show, like a secret agent kind of guy, like not necessarily just a butler. He's more of a bodyguard.
Yeah, I like they're exploring that more now in the films. He used to be in the military, and he did some stuff. Like during the Deathstroke versus Batman event a few years ago in the Deathstroke comic, Alfred knew Deathstroke's partner from back in the old war days. I'm that's a cool aspect to his character. That's
neat. Yeah,
there's some stuff like that in there. Yeah,
I just like that it gives Alfred more to do than just being the butler.
I mean, yeah, we also got those scenes of him helping Bruce, trying to decipher the stuff Riddler was putting out there. That was cool too.
And I loved the way they shot and set up all the stuff of Alfred opening the package and like Bruce trying to get in contact with him like right away. And then it's like, it's already happened. It happened like an hour ago. Like, it's already way too late for Bruce to do anything. Like, I loved that.
Yeah, the build-up is good. The housemaid answers the phone.
I'm like, does she know about the Batman stuff? Like, how does that work? I guess not, because she's just a housemaid. But yeah, I loved that whole bit. Like, that whole scene and how it played out was pretty great.
We gotta go back to Paul Dano's Riddler, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Whew.
You know, I said I got hooked with the Batman introduction, but the Riddler introduction too, just, oh my gosh.
Oh, with like the tape and the,
Yeah, just him just standing there in the mayor's apartment was great. Yeah, he was a really good character for this. And also it's great that it's a mind game. This is a first for this Batman and how it really challenges him. Yeah, just really solid all around.
I love the twist that he's just been hanging out in that apartment like that whole time, just waiting for Falcone to come out of the jail. Like, he had all the things set up in place to just get Falcone out in the open right in front of the prison.
And his interactions with Bruce, or with Batman, was great. Like, really, honestly, like, after he gets caught and then having that conversation at Arkham.
I loved all that stuff. And I loved the plan, too. The whole break down the seawall thing. I don't know if I missed it really early on or something, but I didn't know there was a seawall around Gotham until they blew it up. So that's kind of interesting.
I don't think it's mentioned. I'm just assuming it's one of those things where, like, yeah, the city's just below sea level.
Yeah. Which I'm like, you know what? They don't have to establish that early on. It's fine. I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, you just say it then and there. It's like, oh, okay, that's fine.
The way that he just outsmarted Batman, like, throughout the movie, like, was pretty great. The ways that he was outsmarted made sense because, like, Bruce not knowing what a rug tucker was. Because he's so rich that he would have never touched one of those things. He wouldn't know what that tool is at all.
Well, also, I think he's also looking so much at the bigger picture that he just can't come up with the idea of like, oh, this is used for rugs. That's too easy.
I liked those aspects where it's just like, yeah, he knows he's a little bit more out of touch, or like you know he's a little bit more out of touch because of some of the things he misses.
I think he's so confident in his intelligence that hinders him at those moments.
Yeah, he's like too smart for his own good.
And I did like that scene between him and that cop. That was
that was great. That was a fun time. Riddler doesn't know his identity, right?
Yeah, I think he doesn't know.
I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just mainly because of the specific line Riddler says of, we almost got all of them except Bruce Wayne. We could have done it together. I think that implies like he doesn't know. But I think the way Matt Reeves filmed it, and it's like, oh, this is for the audience and also for Bruce. It's like, wait, does he know I'm Batman? And like that changes a lot of things in Bruce's mind that can make him more frantic and all of that stuff. I think that's good setup.
That and like in that scene, I was like, I'm pretty sure there's stuff on this wall that's pointing to Batman being Bruce Wayne. And I'm like watching Batman like looking around the room and his eyes are getting wider and it's just like, oh God, everyone's going to figure it out right now. Gordon gets that call and I thought the phone call was going to be about him being told that Bruce Wayne was Batman. Yeah,
like maybe Riddler set something up outside of his apartment to reveal that. Yeah, that I was really expecting that too, and that's such good build up and twist of what just happened.
Yep, and I'm glad it didn't though, because then we can keep Gordon and Batman as buddies for a little bit longer. God, that was good tension.
So good, and I love some of the traps and things that Riddler did. They're like the headpiece that he had. It's like, oh, that is totally from Saw. Like that's really cool.
Oh, like the rat thing where the rats crawl through and get in the guy. Yeah, that thing was so creepy. And then I loved the neck bomb. That was another one of those moments where I'm like, Batman his chin should be all messed up. Yeah, I loved all of the Riddler's stuff, like all of his little gimmicks and traps and stuff, and I love that when they break into his apartment finally, like there's just like a bunch of them. Like he had more plans for people, which I'm like, that's even more scary. Did you notice who the DA was? The guy with the neck bomb? Did you recognize him?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
He's a prior DC villain from the best DC movie that's been made. Good old Hector Hammond, baby. It's my boy Hector Hammond, man, from Green Lantern. Yes, I was watching him and I was like, I know this man. And then it just popped into my brain. I was like, oh my goodness, they brought him back. And he was great. I thought he was really good in this movie too, as like the kind of scummy DA man. I enjoyed the bit on the cell phone where they're trying to figure out the riddles.
Yeah, because it shows that Riddler knew Batman was the right opponent to tackle with this kind of stuff. I like the idea that it wasn't over once Riddler was captured. I think that was good. And, that's how we get the action piece at the end. It still shows that Batman still has more to learn, because he kind of relaxed after Riddler got captured. It's like, oh, it's finally over. And it's like, oh, but you missed the last thing? Oh, I thought you were better than this.
All you did was catch me. You didn't stop anything. And then it all ends up being like on the computer, and it's like all the stuff with all the computer bits is like crazy. All the online people and like how he uses like Facebook and stuff to do it. That's nuts. Like I loved that.
Yeah, and it's great too because it shows, oh man, this is the repercussions of not following everything through all the way, right? At least in Bruce's perspective. He's like, this could have been stopped if I just analyzed more.
Like if I had just done a little bit more work.
And I liked the whole set piece of just, oh, the water's coming in. Everyone's going into whatever building that was.
Gotham Square Garden.
And then the fact like, oh, that was part of the plan because everyone is there that was following the Riddler. Yeah, and then the final act was just great. Like the action stuff was good. I will say it is kind of crazy that how bulletproof Batman is.
Oh yeah, those bullets are whizzing off his chest piece. And when the dude put the shotgun by his helmet, and I was like, shoot him in the mouth. What are you doing? Like I was like, it's dramatic, yes, to point it right at his head, but also like his whole chin is exposed. But yeah, his armor in this movie takes a pretty good hit.
But I like it has to be a shotgun that has to do real damage for him to like, oh, he felt that one. Everyone said it's like, oh, is that venom? It's like, no, that's just adrenaline that he used to get up. I really like the moments where it's finally over, but it's also not over because there's that piece of machinery that's like about to fall in the water and electrocute all those people. You know, and without a second thought, Batman just gets his grapple hook and goes right in.
I love him leading the people out with the flare and learning that he has to be like a better person. I actually really dug that like the Riddler thugs all just dressed like the Riddler. I thought that was really fun. That's a big thing that I think is missing from a lot of other Batman movies, other than maybe the Michael Keaton ones, is that the thugs never dress like the people that they're working for.
And it makes sense with the Riddler too, because it's like it's more than just the person himself, it's the idea of what the Riddler is trying to accomplish that everyone else agrees with. So it's like, in a sense, they're all Riddler.
Just devotion to the Riddler, and I like that aspect of it. Like that, it's like Mr. Freeze's little henchmen guys back in Batman and Robin, where they're all dressed in like winter gear all the time, and I'm like, yeah, it's great. Like that's the kind of stuff that fits in this universe. And oh my gosh, somebody brought it up. The city's drowned in water. The Penguin is in place to take over. You know what the best thing to have in this situation would be? Penguins with rockets on their heads. And I was like, bring back the penguins. Yes, I'm down. I'm 100% in. I love it. Like, I'm all about that. I liked his grappling hooks and how they worked, how they were just attached into the gauntlets. I love the scene where he's invading the nightclub as Batman and he's just beating the crap out of dudes and just throwing them over railings and just like anytime he was just like in the middle of a fight with like 1,000 dudes was really fun. The aspect that Gordon was keeping the mask on him when he was captured by the police, that was fun.
I thought it was cool too that he could take out the gun piece of the emblem and use that as like a knife.
Oh yeah, that was great. Like that's like his prototype batarang.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to actually use that.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to actually come off. So now I'm like, oh crap! Now I need one that does that.
I don't know much about his parents. I do know like the Thomas Wayne stuff, with the corruption and all that, but I didn't know that Martha was part of Arkham. That was interesting.
Yeah, I think that's new for this one, but I liked that in this one. I liked it a lot, actually. I thought it was a really fun way to kind of set up that the Waynes in this universe aren't as perfect as we always think they are. That was what I really liked about it. Following along the lines of Joker.
Yeah, I think the whole Martha thing, being in the asylum and all that, and then it trying to cover it up. I'm like, oh, that's interesting because, when Thomas Wayne is Batman, Martha's Joker, I think that's a nod.
Yeah, I dug that. I dug that aspect, that there was like a little bit of insanity to her. Oh wait, it was Falcone that had his parents killed in this, wasn't it? Is that what we figure out?
It's never confirmed, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just based off of people like, well, do the math. It only makes sense, right?
Yep. So it could still have been Penguin, because I can't imagine that won't stop being like a part of the story, right? Like that should continue as a story point.
And I think that will tie into Bruce being like, oh, now I need to be a public figure more as Bruce Wayne now, so that way I could kind of fix that and still say like, even though my father did those stuff, he still had good ideas and I'm here to carry that.
That little kid that Batman keeps looking at and staring at in the movie is definitely going to be Robin, right? Like he's the perfect age. It's perfect.
Yeah, I like how that's also like a little extra motivation for Bruce to focus more on this, I think.
Yeah, it's like giving him perspective on where he was at when his parents died and stuff.
Also, of course, him as Bruce Wayne saving the kid from the car.
Yeah, that was great. I don't know. I feel like that's definitely going to come into play. I feel like that kid will come back. I really love Riddler just going boom, boom, boom out the window of his Arkham cell when all the vans are exploding. Mm-hmm. That was pretty wonderful. I was loving how much fun he was having. He's a great villain. You know who's not a great villain? Was that guy you were bringing up earlier. Yeah. Boy, howdy. Not a great character. Bad choice all around. We're talking about the Joker. He's at the end, I guess.
So I didn't know about the actor that was him, because I didn't read the credits. I think you guys mentioned it in our chat, right, of who it was.
I had heard some rumors about different castings before the movie had come out, and one of them I thought was actually kind of interesting because he's a very good actor, and that would be Dudley Dursley was in the running. He doesn't look like Dudley Dursley anymore. He looks much better. He's been in a bunch of stuff recently, actually, where he's been just phenomenal at acting. Like he's He's just very good at playing very, very fun characters. Harry Melling is his name. He was the most recent thing I think I remember seeing him in was it's that cowboy movie that came out like 2 years ago on Netflix. Buster Scruggs, Tale of Buster Scruggs. Great movie. But he's also in The Queen's Gambit, which is that Netflix series about chess, and he's really good in that too. So go check out some of the other stuff he's been in. He's pretty solid. And I think he would have made a great Joker. And instead they casted Barry Koenig. Got the weirdest looking guy to play a character ever.
I haven't seen him in a whole lot.
Barry Keoghan. Sorry, his name is Keoghan, not Koenig. I can't spell. He's in the Eternals.
Yeah, that's the only recent thing I know that he's in.
And he's really bad in it. But everybody's really bad in that movie, so...
I'd say for the most part, the writing did not help with his character in that movie, but...
It didn't help anybody.
Yeah, but him as the Joker, I don't know. So when I saw the scene, I was thinking, I wonder what approach they're going to go with.
Yeah.
One, I was thinking, it would be cool if they did the Telltale version of Joker, because that's a different approach on how he's handled in that game.
Okay.
And his rise to become Joker. I think that stuff was pretty
I haven't
fun.
played that one yet, so I don't know.
I think it's a good Batman game. I like the suit a lot in that one. I would pick someone else.
And I'm pretty sure you can see his evil grin in the movie, right? Like, you can see it. Maybe it's just because we were seeing it in IMAX and we were up a little closer to the screen. Let me see it a little better for some reason. But like, I thought I saw a pretty jagged, like, tooth line thing going on, and I was like, ooh, he's all scarred up on the side of the face. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. Okay. The smile looks pulled back, like a little Jack Nicholson-y, but like more intense than that. So I'm curious how they're going to set that up. Do you think he's going to show up in the Gotham City Police Department TV show if he's already in Arkham?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is how are they going to approach his character? Because I'm assuming that he's not there because of Batman. He's just there because of who he is. Well, I don't know. It depends what they want to focus on for Gotham PD. Like, if it's just like the scope of Gotham itself, or maybe they will give like James Gordon like a specific thing to do, and maybe that could be with Joker as he is. As also people are saying, like, they'll probably save him for a third movie, and I'm like, yeah, that would be good. I don't want to see him pop up anytime soon. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I hope it's just the fill-in role for him.
I don't like this casting. They definitely need another person.
Bring my boy Jared Leto back, man. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be for a good while anyways, until we even see something like that, right?
Yeah, it should be. Honestly, if they're going to do Joker, they should save him up for the third movie. If they're even going to have him in these movies, like, save him up for the third one. Don't do him yet.
I think they said April is when it's going to be on HBO Max, and I'm like, I'm definitely watching it again.
Yeah, I will definitely be checking it out again on there. I definitely want to see it in theaters a second time.
But I think with that, we could wrap up this episode for
today.
I
can't think of anything else to say about the Batman other than go see it.
Yeah, so next episode, when we come back, of course, we got to talk about our boy, Morbius.
Yes.
So that's coming real soon.
And I'll have some news about Moon Knight, so maybe it'll be a Moon Knight and Morbius episode.
So I wait for that show, the movie, new episode. Jake, where can we find you at?
You guys can find me anywhere on the internet with at Corruption Cosplay with K's. Recently been working on some Batman photos, tons of Batman pictures, and been loving all of the responses to them. You guys have just been showing all the love who are following me and everything, and it's great. And taking those photos was really fun, to the point where I'm printing out yet another Batman cowl to try and get the most accurate look as I can with this suit, because holy moly do I love it. Power Rangers series is still working towards next episode releasing. I will be showing up at Ranger Legacy in June as a guest for the event. I will be dressed up as Draken on one day and a potentially new outfit for the show on another day. But I won't spoil what that one's going to be yet. It's in the cards. If you want to find any more info about that, look up Ranger Legacy on Instagram or Crimson Vision Studios. Either one of those is going to have info on all the Power Rangers stuff. Otherwise, Danny, where can we find you?
Yes, as always, you can find me at Negator7 anywhere you go. Mainly posted on Instagram. And then, I have the other podcast, Unverse Podcast. We're going to get back to that soon. Just been playing a little too much Elden Ring, and we haven't gotten around to recording any episodes.
Oh, boy. You guys should just record an episode while you're playing Elden Ring.
Yeah, honestly, it's...
At this point, that's... But, no, I totally understand, because I have also been playing a ton of Elden Ring.
And then, of course, Marvel Talk Cast on Instagram. Right, we'll post when new episodes drop, and then... marveltalkpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear them and bring them up on future episodes.
Yeah, that'd be great. What did you think of Batman? What did you think of Peacemaker? What did you think about all those cool trailers that have been coming out? Let us know. We'd love to hear it. And I know these get posted to YouTube also, so if you leave the comment in the section below, that'd be great.
And until next time,
I'm vengeance.
I did like how he beat up the guy first and then he said, "I'm vengeance." I was like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was awesome. I loved when Batman had to deal with the one Riddler guy getting his mask taken off, and then him being like, "Who are you?" And then him saying, "I'm vengeance," and then him figuring it out was pretty great. I've been messing up this city.
He says that in his monologue, right? When he's narrating, saying like, "Oh, I've been giving the wrong impression."
I love that aspect of it.